There will always be a remnant of people who will not participate in the idolatry of the people. Now imagine the kind of pressure that was on them. Imagine what was going on through their minds as they had just heard the Almighty speak to them and watching their brothers, some family members, friends that they came out of bondage with, watching them do the very thing that the Almighty who delivered them said don't do. You'll always be in a place of decision. You can go along with what they're doing, or you can stay firm to what He has commanded. You'll always be affected by the people around you. And some of these people will be in your own house. And let me say this while I'm at it. So I was having a conversation with my son here today and looking at my own family. You see, my family, brothers and sisters, is no different than your family. They aren't. As a husband, I have the responsibility to instruct. Any person who've ever been divorced know that you can't make your spouse do nothing. You know that, right? So when your spouse don't agree with you, what do? You do what you know He has instructed, regardless to how anybody else may interpret those instructions. Because you could try to force somebody to do something, and that's how divorces and fights and contention and strife and confusion and every evil work begin to take a role in your home, and you can't have that. Because see, here's the thing, folks. From the beginning to the end of the book, I get the impression that each and every one of us is going to have to stand before the Almighty for ourselves. Husband, I don't think you're going to be standing next to your wife in judgment. I don't think the Almighty is going to judge both of y'all at the same time. We see the example in the garden. Each individual will be held accountable to what they have done, not what their spouse have done. Are you all getting this? And too many times, people allow spouses and parents and children and siblings and friends to affect them to such a degree to where they begin to disobey the Almighty. And this is why sometimes you have to separate yourself from people, although the Bible says you can't separate from your husband or your wife. You have to live your faith regardless to who in your house don't. And then demonstrate the love and compassion of the Almighty in the process. Because just because somebody don't agree with you, don't give you the right to act like a heathen while you're trying to get them to keep the commandments of Jehovah. Does that make sense? How you going to force somebody to do? See, here's the thing I learned growing up in this society. That in order for us to feel right about ourselves, sometimes we got to convince other people to believe like we believe. We got to convince other people to agree with us, which is why immediately we go to work at changing people who we've decided to be in relationship with. The bottom line is nobody will ever always be in agreement with you. Now, what you going to do? Are you going to respond to them how they respond? Or are you going to continue to walk in obedience to the commandments of your Father who saved you?
For more information, visit www.arthurbaileyministries.com or call 888-899-1479. This program is made possible through financial contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.